Welcome to the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast, your home for all things football at Waldorf University, the best small college football experience in America. Hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson, from the secret bunker beneath Bolstorff Field.
Welcome to this episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast. We're going to change things up, Troy.
Yeah, we are.
I'm sick of football.
I can't stand it.
I know. And hey, we're right in the middle of March Madness, so we're recording this on Thursday. Let's hope that our Drake Bulldogs down there in Des Moines take it to them tonight, man. I'm really hoping. Do you got a bracket?
I do not. Those when I have done it, it's always been flip a coin thing for me.
Just really?
Flip a coin. Yeah, I don't. No.
I used to run a bracket, and a guy that I worked with, he didn't know much about basketball, which I don't either, but he would literally, he had his dog in the living room, and he set down a treat and set down, okay, this is for the 1 seed, this is for the 16 seed, and whatever treat the dog ate, that's what he chose.
And?
He won.
See?
Dang it.
Yeah, it's like playing the slot machine. There's probably a lot more to it than that, but it seems like a lot of folks put a lot of thought into any type of bracket, and then they're usually all
and it ruins people's days because I look forward to those. Basically, anything deeper than an 11 seed, I want to see them win every game. Every game.
Yeah,
unless they're playing the teams I like.
Yeah, or if they're Iowa or something like that. I like to see our teams do well.
Iowa doesn't have a basketball team right now, do they? I mean, because I think that pretty much everybody's in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
If I had eligibility,
we'll find out. We'll get some expert.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. We started talking about it. We didn't finish it.
Yeah, this is what happens.
Yeah, so this is the Gridiron Club's edition of the Waldorf Cagers.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah. Well, it's a great idea. So it is March Madness, but we also have a new. So Waldorf basketball has had an interim head men's basketball coach since Nigel Jenkins left in August.
Yep,
and so they've conducted a search and they've selected a new head basketball coach, and we thought that it would be outstanding for our Gridiron Club audience of all of our fans for not just Waldorf football but just Waldorf University in general to get to know a guy who's back in town, not new to the area, but we want to say hello to head coach Michael Wirth. I always call him Mike. I guess I didn't know that.
What do you prefer, Coach?
I'll answer to just about anything. So I guess Coach or Michael's probably been the most frequent.
Okay,
Michael is the whole deal.
Yeah,
I like that.
Oh, okay.
Short last name, longer first name.
Okay, I'll remember that.
There you go.
We rode the bus together, went to kindergarten, so that was a long time ago. Yeah,
well.
And then he took off and went to the other school district over there in North Iowa.
North Iowa.
Yeah.
Moved to T-Town.
Yeah.
Thompson guy.
Thompson.
Yeah,
Yep.
which is I think is a great town. You know,
Oh, absolutely. They were without power yesterday for quite a long time.
Thompson was. Andy is the Winnebago Hancock Winnebago. Is it alphabetical?
I don't think it matters.
Emergency management guy.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
that's what I do.
You probably had a few phone calls.
Not a lot of phone calls, a lot of watching cameras out west, watching it show up, watching it leave, and not liking any part of it. Post blizzard, for those of you folks that are listening that are not in the north central Iowa area, and even further to our south and our west, we had a blizzard.
Yeah, we had a good one. I hope it's Mark Helgeson, the superintendent at the golf course here in town, says it's the last snowstorm of the season because the robins have now had their tails snowed upon 3 times. Thrice snowed upon. And so you take the golf course guy advice. And I think the golf course actually opened up today, to be honest with you.
The clubhouse is opening.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Wait, do they play golf there too? Oh, okay.
I have no idea. Coach, tell us a little bit about, obviously now we know that you were a Thompson guy after you fled Forest City, and then what happened after graduation from North Iowa High School?
Yeah, so I went to the University of Minnesota Morris, played basketball there for 2 years, and then finished up and got my degree at Iowa State. Got into coaching really at a young age, was actually the Little League baseball coach in Thompson, and did that in the summers. Enjoyed it, and did some coaching a little bit in college as well, and then obviously got into teaching and coaching. You could say I probably got into teaching largely to coach, and I started at actually Armstrong Ringstead High School, and now I think it's North Union.
Yep.
And I was a teacher and a basketball coach there. And then I had 1 year in south of in Muscatine at a school, and then a good friend of mine who he said, "Hey, I want to try teaching and coaching in Arizona." I said, "Well, if you decide to go, I'll probably go out there with you." And I had an uncle that graduated from Iowa State, moved to Arizona, and so I'd visit a couple times out there and liked it. So he called me in March and said, "Hey, I'm moving to Arizona, and are you coming with?" I'm like, "All right, no job, nothing, just resign." You
don't need that.
No, jumped in a U-Haul, and we headed out there and figured out I'll find a teaching and coaching job when I get there.
That's right. Hook up the old Conestoga and head west.
Now, that was
pretty much
20 years. 20. How long ago?
That was 23 years ago.
23 years ago to Arizona. Yeah. And of course, you did graduate from North Iowa High School, and you played basketball there.
Yep.
And of course, that was good rivalry back. Even to this day, to some degree. But back then, I mean, I distinctly recall pretty good rivalry with Forest City, North Iowa, and particularly in basketball. And Michael told me that he had the gym floor of the high school in Forest City. They cut the gym floor up, and then they replaced it, and then they sold pieces. And he got a piece of the Forest City gym floor.
I had two of them, and I think I remember looking at, you could kind of pick the spot of the court you could bid on, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I had a couple 3-pointers from the top of the key, so that would be a cool chunk of the court to own. And
nice.
Obviously, my wife Andrea Holsing, it was her maiden name, and she was a pretty good basketball player at Forest City, so. That was a pretty cool deal, and she kind of joked about what are you going to do with that big chunk of wood? It's pretty big.
Yeah.
And, I go, I don't really know, but I think we should own some of it. So
yeah.
We ended up having a few parts of the court, and also the Waldorf at the same time. We purchased 2 of those as well. So they're
nice.
sitting at my brother's machine shed, and they've been there for a few years, and I still don't quite know, but I'm a little bit closer to knowing what to do, because I'm a little bit closer to
now you can get after it.
That's right.
That's right.
We got about 100 square feet there, and just right. I think they're all 4x6 cutouts, so you got just under 100 square feet of. You got 4 pieces.
4, yeah,
4. So you will be
getting close.
You're partway there. You get a good spot.
How much do you get, Troy?
A little more than that, but I didn't buy anything significant for playing days, because there was none of that for me.
You never played basketball.
I played in junior high. I was on the B team. We didn't have enough kids for a C team, so that's where I was at. I was a bencher on the B team, probably.
I had a friend. Of course, Forest City has an alumni tournament here, and a friend of mine came back and like, "Hey, dude, we need you." He's like, "You need me." He's like, "Do you remember in 7th grade?" He goes, I was on the D team, and I didn't even get to play.
Yeah. We had some tough times, but I just kind of abandoned the basketball thing. Never made it into high school. I mean, I could tell Hilmer to look at me, and he'd be like, I don't even know why you're here.
Well, I think Bob Hilmer had visions for me, because when I was between my 7th and 8th grade year, I grew to this height. And then I was done. So I was 6'1", coming into my 8th grade year, and I thought, I'm going to be huge.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a basketball phenom.
Yeah.
And I played through
Mecklenburg.
Yeah. I played through my sophomore year. I went to Iowa basketball camp for 3 years, and I loved every part of it. But then you start to realize that mechanically you're just not very good. So football it was.
Well, is that a thing? Are mechanics important to basketball?
Well, they definitely help.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you can, you spend a lot of time in the gym, and you do, rep over and over again, you're going to get better. But, sometimes people are born for certain things, and that's part of, they naturally have some ability, but you got to have whatever you do, you got to have a passion and love for it, right?
Mm-hmm. So for sure.
Lots of times you got to go experience that, right? You got to try it for a few years and to know, hey, this is great, but it's not what I'm really, really passionate about.
Yeah.
I thought I was. I actually, my second year down at the University of Iowa basketball camp, I made their all-star team and got to play a game on the floor of Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I got a picture and everything. I think we might have thrown it away.
Oh. So then do you have a picture of it? Yeah.
I'm going to find it.
Now you have to.
Yeah.
It's out there. We jumped back a little bit. So then you're in Arizona. What did you do there? You didn't have a job when you moved down there, but you were ready to roll, and this is 23 years ago. So.
Yeah, that's some blind faith. God showed up pretty big and landed in a pretty, really for Arizona, a similar community as back here as Maricopa. It was kind of a smaller farming community. Teacher, coach there for 3 years.
There's a town called Maricopa?
Yes, outside of Maricopa County.
It's not even in Maricopa County?
It's in Pinell County.
How about that? There's only like 12 counties in Arizona. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They never expected to get
Maricopa's the biggest.
Yeah.
But there is a city now called Maricopa. So it was smaller. It'd probably be classified as a town back then.
Okay.
A smaller 2A school. Kids were great. Really enjoyed it there. I was there for 3 years. And then, again, I tried to, decide and steer the wheel a little bit and say, it'd be good to get to a bigger school. And looking back, I probably should have stayed in Maricopa because, it was a great community. It just started to take off, too. Housing, blew up out there, and it really rapidly went from a farming community to, just part of the metro area. Mm-hmm. And, but then I went to a bigger school. 5A school with 2,000 students. It was called Skyline High School. It was in East Mesa. I was there for 7 years, and then closer to where we were gonna live and our kids were gonna grow up was in Gilbert, Arizona. Which again, we moved to Gilbert, which really we were in Chandler. We weren't moving very far, but and it had its roots in agriculture too, and it was I'm in the metro area of Phoenix, but you literally you pull out of our neighborhood and there'd be, a field to your right, and you drive another, half mile and there'd be a field to your left. And what we really enjoyed about it. And so I was there. So I went to the high school called Campo Verde High School in Gilbert, and I was there. I'm still technically kind of there in 2012.
Very good.
We have football players that come from Arizona. Andy and I just have not spent a lot of time. I don't think I was last in Arizona as a child. So
It's been a while.
it has been a long time, like maybe late 70s, early 80s type long ago. And I will say that I didn't realize when I think of Arizona, I think of like, desert, and I don't, so it's always shocking. And the guys that come and talk to us about, like, there's, it's kind of, you talk about a farming community in Arizona. To me, it blows my mind. It's probably, that's not unusual. I sound like an idiot to people from Arizona. Like, of course we have farming, but to me,
What else do we do?
Yeah, right. That strikes me as it. But you came from a farming community, obviously, small town Iowa, and then your family was, into farming too. And are they still in, like, your older brother Jason? He's got Jake Sweet Corn and all that other stuff. Is he?
Yeah,
farming and all that
still
stuff?
Farming. Yep, family farm. Yep, right out south of Thompson. Yep.
Yep. So,
and my side's pretty much still here in Buffalo Center area and in Thompson, and most of my wife Andrea's side, quite a few have moved out to Arizona over the years. I kind of started it, and then it was
they just followed
you west. It was quite a few came out, which is great as well.
Well, maybe that's good. If they follow you, then they'll come back. We get Chuck Etzen back here, and
that's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Come back. So, because Andrew's got a sister and a brother that's in the same area down there, and then so they were there. They thought they had it figured out, and then you pop smoke, come back up here. And
that's right.
Bang, I got to go back up.
Exactly. Thanks for following me, guys.
Yeah.
Going back home.
Right. How did you? So what? Were you and Andrew married when you were at Armstrong, or was that later? How'd that come about? In Phoenix, or
no. So we my father passed away, and when I was in south of Muscatine, and Andrew reached out, and we connected and started dating, and then I of course said, hey, this is awesome, but I'm moving to Arizona, 2,000 miles away. So we long distanced relationship for a year, and then she moved out to Arizona, and then we got engaged and we got married, and then shortly after her brother came out, and then her sister, and then Chuck and Barb, her folks came out. So it kind of started the process.
And now, so your family, you have 3 kids, right? All Is that right? 3 kids, 3 boys?
3 boys, yeah.
I know. I met them all. I hope I wasn't forgetting somebody somebody I didn't know about. So you've got the oldest is he's a sophomore.
Yep. He's 16. He's a sophomore.
Yeah. And then an 8th grader.
Yep. 14. Lincoln.
Yep. And then is it a 4th grader?
Yeah.
You got a 4th grader?
4th grader. Yep. He's 10. Granite.
So he's got great kids' names. You didn't catch that.
No, I heard Lincoln.
Lincoln? Yeah. But that's the second one.
Okay.
Yeah. Creighton.
Yep.
Lincoln. Granite.
Okay. So I'm sensing maybe a Nebraska.
That's funny you say that because everybody we kind of introduce them to say, "Are you from Nebraska?" And we're like, "No."
But
no.
the Granite doesn't make sense because the Granite State is not Nebraska, right?
No.
It's
I
the
think
state.
there's a Granite Falls or something. We tried to find there's some location in Nebraska that has Granite in the name. I'm confident of that.
Well, because I think because we know that Nebraska is not the Granite State. They're the state of perpetual boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are they the Cornhusker State? Whatever that is.
No. So how did you come up with the names, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't really know. It wasn't just hey, this is the name we always wanted. I remember obviously when Creighton is our oldest, we were just sitting around thinking of names, and that one popped out, and I'm like, man, I really like that. It's I haven't really heard that as a name, and it wasn't after Creighton University, although I'd love to kind of reach out to Coach McDermott and say, hey, I named my son Creighton. Any chance that you could get
Give me tickets to the second round game?
Yeah. But no, and then a funny fact about Lincoln, I share this a lot, is I texted my brother when he was born, and it was March 4th. He was born on March 4th. And I texted my brother, and I'm kind of a history guy too, and I taught history for years, and I said, hey, well, welcome to the world, on March 4th, Lincoln Max Wirth. And a little bit later, he texts back and goes, hey, do you realize that Lincoln, he's born exactly 150 years to the day that Abraham Lincoln was sworn in as president. I'm like, man, I didn't even realize. That's a kind of a fun fact that he'll be able to share the rest of his life.
Goodness sakes.
And we didn't name him after Abraham Lincoln, but it just happened.
But you could have, because
that's
my favorite president for sure. Yeah.
And Granite was just like you're considering countertops, and you're thinking, I haven't heard of a kid named Granite. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I joke that, hey, he's got 2 older brothers, so he better be tough. And what's the toughest thing out there is Granite.
That's right. You can't call him Diamond.
Yeah, Diamond.
That'd be a little tough for a kid.
Hey, Diamond Wirth.
He's going to be tough.
If
it's
his
like
middle name was Joe, you'd have a casino on your hand.
Well,
that's a good catch.
Yeah.
Well, they call him G Money, so I guess we're in the same line there as a casino.
So if all right, so the Phoenix area, and Coach, you did a ton of work with camps too. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that over the years. Just really, while I got into coaching was to impact lives, and man, I've just really enjoyed trying to start really the ignition stage, get kids excited about the game of basketball. So I've enjoyed doing camps. We spend a lot of time, and obviously when you're a coach in a program too, you want kids to in your school district, your area, that come and get excited about it. That's usually beneficial, down the road too. And so we've spent a lot of time really trying to put on quality basketball camps, and more so really to hopefully impact their life a little bit, and more than the game of basketball. At the end of the day, that's why we coach, right? I mean, you get into coaching a particular sport because you love the sport, right? I mean, I say this all the time, so people I heard Coach say that all the time, but Charles Barkley, I think, said it best. It's most fun to play the game. Second most fun, right, is to coach the game. The third most fun is to watch the game, right? But so you enjoy really trying to get kids passionate about that sport, but more than that is you really want to try to give them some life lessons and really try to speak into their life a little bit that might help them as they navigate, of course, and into high school and beyond.
So you had a press conference. The school announced your hiring as the head coach, announced to the world on Tuesday of this week, and they kind of they mentioned that. Well, there was a variety of things that were discussed, but one of those was your introduction to the team. I asked a question. I thought it was a pretty good question at the press conference. Chad Gassman was like, make sure you ask some good questions. So
don't hurt yourself, patting yourself on the back.
Well, I really thought about it pretty hard, but yeah, tell us about that. I think that's important because what you're talking about is, speaking into the lives of the kids and your introduction to the team and the hiring process. I thought that was intriguing, and how you left, that meeting with those players feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, when you go through any interview process, and especially it's a long one, it's an all-day process, or even beyond that. There's interviews and phone interviews, and but you're on campus, and it's an all-day deal, and it's a lot of talking to different people, and pretty much you're kind of just figuring each other out. Like, is this a person we want to be around a lot on campus and be part of the staff or faculty, but also for the candidate, like I said, hey, is this where I want to move? It's a big deal, maybe more even for me where I'm at in my stage of life too, which is part of this whole amazing story. Really, I mean, most coaches probably don't dive into this at this stage, right? So, and then, again, that's probably a deeper, longer story too. But I really felt God has led us to that and prepared really for this moment. Like, I really feel like all my experiences in coaching has really led me to this moment, and that's been just awesome. Obviously, going through this process. But anyway, you're really evaluating. Like, do I really want to do this? If I happen to be the candidate that they choose, and you go through that, and you kind of weigh that. And one of the things too, when we said my wife needs to come too when I come on campus, because she's got a pretty powerful vote in this as well. So she needs to come on campus and experience it and see if this is what we're really supposed to be doing. And you go through that day, and you sometimes you're like, oh, this, maybe, but what really kind of solidified it for me was the last part of that is you walk in the room with with the current players, and they're evaluating the coach too, right? And
sure.
And you're like, well, I'm not sure how this is going to go, because but man, I left there really feeling like that was the best part of the process, and really encouraged, like, just their interactions. One, I was impressed by some of the questions they asked, right? Two, I asked a few questions, and just their openness to really share, their thoughts and feelings, and to really kind of open up a little bit, which is difficult to do the first time you're meeting anybody, especially if you're kind of like analyzing and interviewing a candidate. I mean, it's even more difficult. And here we are, college athletes that kind of, for them, it's to some of the questions, and really what I sensed is they really desired, they really want to become their very best, and they really want someone that's going to really push them, and not discarding that. I'm sure coaches they've had have done that. I'm sure they're confident of that, but that really impressed me. And really, sometimes you're just in a room, you have an interaction with someone, you just feel like a connection, right? And I felt that with the players, and that I left there like, wow, that was probably the best part of this interview, and it really helped me get to the point where I think this is what we're supposed to be doing.
I'm interested in that conversation with Andrea prior to, even the interview process, to, hey, there's a job back home that I'm interested in. What do you think?
You're right. We should have had her on. Maybe that's in the future. Like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Now that you're right, we had lots of conversations, lots of prayer about that, and then it was a lot of, man, are we really sure? And because make no mistake about it, it's nice living in Arizona.
Yeah,
and we've been there 23 years, and man, we got a beautiful home and a beautiful pool in the backyard, and it's 90 degrees, and there's a lot to love about that. There's a lot to be comfortable about that. So, I can't even really explain. People have asked me that too. Like, is that really what you want to be doing? And I go, well, if it was anywhere else, maybe not, but it's Waldorf, and I can't even really put my finger on exactly why on that. But I've always been intrigued by that, and I always thought, man, that would be a lot of fun to be the head coach of the basketball program there.
Well, and I told you already how I'm pretty excited that you're up here. There is that connection to Waldorf. Andrea played for Denny Jerome.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously knows the court pretty well. And you went? Did you go to Waldorf? You didn't? No, you went.
No,
you
Morris.
didn't. So she
Yeah,
just
went
went
Morris.
to Waldorf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went to Morris. Yeah,
I listened.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I listened. And then
You're-
in
it's your
one ear and
age.
out the other. I think, and I'm just spitballing here, but it's the same thing to some degree. Talking like with Coach Chapa with football, we're in a new conference. You're in the GPAC, and that's a great conference and it's competitive. And you talked about that a little bit, or Chad mentioned it too at the press conference on Tuesday. But it's more than that. It's Waldorf is at yet another turning point in its 122-year history, where this to me is a very important beginning of something, a new era at Waldorf. And so you see a difference in how we are recruiting in the football program, for example, largest team on campus. And, Coach Chapa and his staff have worked diligently to really provoke a largely regional team as much as they can. They're not there yet, but they're getting talent from all over like they do. But I know that that's a focus, because that's part of the draw to the GPAC. And obviously in basketball, it's the same thing, certainly. And, Jerome, for example, Denny Jerome that's who he recruited. It was all, Iowa, Minnesota, maybe some Illinois girls and stuff like that, maybe some Wisconsin. And so it's kind of just a regional thing. But now it's, so there's that, there's this GPAC situation. And I'm going to bring this back to, you've referenced God and the plans for you quite a bit, and obviously your faith is very evident. It reminds me of, who was Coach Chapa talking to, that coach one time from one of the guys at the GPAC, one of our
Morningside.
And he goes, Morningside's incredibly successful program.
Coach Steve Ryan.
So Steve Ryan, and he comes up, he talks to, what did he say?
No, he was talking to Coach Ryan before Morningside came over here for a football game this fall, and of course it's our inaugural season. Coach Chapa's out talking to Coach Ryan, who's a stand-up dude, and he gets done and he turns around, walks away, and looks at me and goes, "That guy goes to church."
Yeah. And that's prevalent in the GPAC too, which is wonderful. And Waldorf has got its roots in, Christian foundation and Lutheranism. And I feel like that there's, again, a good turning point. Not that it's away from that, but there was a period where it was, private, private, but for profit, and not necessarily secular. They were still connected, still had their Lutheran roots and everything like that. But it was, just a different. And so time. So I'm looking forward to all of that. And I think that and maybe that's what you can't put your finger on.
Yeah, true. Yes, that just sometimes an idea or a desire gets placed that, hey, this is kind of where we're supposed to go, and that's with prayer. And our prayer was, hey, either close the door right away, or keep it open. And then when it was open, it's like, okay, well, do we still really want to do this? And then it was, well,
careful what you
we need, some confirmation would be good. And we got some repeated confirmation. Yes, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I tell you what, this is officially this week, on the job, and man, every day I get more and more. I couldn't. First day, it's the first day of anything. There's a little, I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, but it was like, man, this is exactly not what I was expecting, even better. But Tuesday, man, I can't believe it. This is even better than I anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I just text my wife. I go, man, I just got to say, I really love my job. God is good. And I'm just day 4. There might be some days, mid next February, where it's like, hey, I'm going to go back to that text message because I had a rough day today. But I'm really excited about it, and it's been just awesome getting started.
And it's sometimes, when you involve God, which we all should do all the time, but when he starts giving you that message that this is where I'm calling you, and like, you got, really? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so nice here.
Yeah.
And you're going to take me. Okay. All right. I guess I have to trust.
Yeah.
That's the hard part to do when you're a Christian.
Yeah. Well, you get called out of comfort lots of times. And we were pretty comfortable in Arizona. So, but it's also very exciting. And that, excited about what's to come. too.
So on the recruiting front, your team's a little smaller than the football program, so the numbers on the remainder to recruit are also different. Are you in single digits that you need to come up with? Was you in that 7, 8? Is that what you were saying?
Yep. So 8 guys. Yep, 7, 8 guys that we need to find to plug in, and I've enjoyed that too. I love going and watching games, watching film. I love just the interaction of calling the recruits and getting to know them a little bit too. I mean, and then even the opportunity to say, hey, here's what we can provide for you, and we're excited about the future. I just really enjoy that. And so I've already enjoyed the process, but Coach Ackerman's been doing an awesome job. He's dialed in, especially right here in Arizona. I've been out of the state, obviously, for 23 years, but the coaching world is vastly smaller than you think. So I still feel plugged in, obviously, but when it comes to the players and schools, Coach Ackerman's he's dialed in.
Yeah.
And which has been awesome. And I obviously have a ton of connections with coaches and athletes in Arizona.
Yeah.
So we're excited about it. Just the opportunity to reach out to players, and really excited about it, man. If we really like, I'm excited about the current players.
Yeah,
just the time I've had to spend with them, and even finally getting to kind of watch them play in person. I'm excited about that, and then also we're excited about some of the players that we're looking to bring in, and once that all comes together and the roster's complete, then it's like, all right, we can really get moving now to putting the next things in place and get ready for the season. Because as we all know, it gets here faster than we think. So,
oh boy,
yeah, all the hard work is done in the off season, which you're in now, and so you've got the and then the season is just showing off, right? So like you have to. What do you do now? First week on the job with the team, and they've got less than a month. Well. Yeah, about a month and a half, I suppose, before they're, heading out the door. Waldorf gets out the end of April, beginning of May. So what do you do now?
Yeah, this week's been there's just so much information you need to download, right?
Yeah.
So I've been really trying, and it's been difficult just to try to connect a little bit. I've watched them play a little bit, and I'm trying to, have players stop by the office. Obviously, I'm going to do more of that now. This kind of first week, as much as I can. So it's really trying to get to know their strengths as well, and really develop those relationships, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, we're all going to be able to try to become our best if we're investing in, our relationships and wanting to help each other become their best. So doing that, spending some time getting to know them is a priority as well. And then you're really trying to establish, some habits and expectations, right? Is the program. And one of my job as the leader of the program is to clearly articulate those. Here's kind of the expectation when, the things that we do, and whether it's on a basketball court or it's, on campus or it's in class, there's just a way that we want to be able to do things. And so it's trying to speak to those, right? And sometimes it's trying to teach those, and sometimes it's, hey, we got to develop some habits here, and that just takes a little bit of time. So starting all those processes.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things we've learned too, I mean, from on the football side, is that we have a new coach in the head coach position in the last couple of years. He came into it like at the end of the school year, and just kind of like, boom, you're the interim head coach, and then he ended up becoming the head coach. I think before the season started. Yeah. So
yeah, it was. He had 6 weeks. Coach Chapa. I'm sure you've met Tyler. Coach Chapa had 6 weeks from the time that hey, we need a head coach to the season. It was not wasn't ideal for him, because he was defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's what he was concentrating on. So. Yeah, he kind of got thrown right into the fire.
Yeah, and he learned, and I think every coach learns too. Now he's in a position after 2 seasons where he has had his staff is his staff, and so that takes some time to grow and figure out, who needs to be where. I think everybody now is somebody that he's hired on his staff, with the exception of you there, director of
Player personnel.
You bet.
Yeah.
And
I met a recruit on
title.
on Tuesday I was out at practice and I met a recruit and his dad. They were from the Denver area and so what do you do with the team? I said, I'm director of player personnel. Oh, I said, don't ask me what that means because I still don't know. They slapped that title on me, and if you actually research it, it's pretty comprehensive, which is not what I do. So
yeah.
But I got this shiny title.
It's a good title. And then you have to do, and eventually, you'll have your, their whole team will be people that you have recruited too, and that'll be interesting to see how that transpires. So you obviously have to build relationship with people that have been recruited by other people, and whatever conversations and relationships they've had. Now you have to, not amend that, but become a part of that and grow and develop and continue to do what you want to do for the future of the program, and make it your own. So how do you anticipate that, looking in the next 6 weeks before they roll out?
Yeah, it's really trying, especially today, things happen faster and faster when it comes to recruiting, right? Obviously, with what happens at every level, and kids changing schools, entering the transfer portal, or trying, that's just what it is to some degree. Well, but for me, it's really trying to spend maybe a little extra time getting to know the recruit if you can. Sometimes you got to move pretty fast, or obviously, it's the people the relationships you have with other coaches, just trying to find out, is this a kid you want? I mean, at the end of the day, if we're bringing in freshmen, right, it's you want to be there 4 years, right? You're investing 4 years. That's pretty significant. So you want to bring in guys that are just high character guys, and that you want to. I'd love to spend 4 years trying to help this player become their best in all areas of their life. So sometimes that just takes a little extra time. And sometimes you got to bring in, obviously, if you got some needs, you might have to bring in someone that's a transfer or JUCO. And, but still, even a year, even 2 years, that's a lot of time. And you want players that are going to be great teammates, that really will love to compete, that love the game of basketball, that really want to pursue becoming their best. And man, if you do that and you get a team full of players like that, and we already have a lot of players like that, I think, and it makes it a lot of fun. And then it's really, we're helping each other get better. And that journey is no matter what you're facing, can be an enjoyable journey. I say it all the time, like no one should rob you of the joy of competing. And as you guys know, athletics is one of the best teachers of learning how to compete. And you're going to have to compete the rest of your life. There's going to be situations, good and bad, in life to where I'm really glad I learned how to compete, because today I'm going to have to compete, right? And it might be to get through the day or to deal with something difficult, because as we all know, there's going to, at some point in our life, we're going to face some difficulty and adversity. And if you've learned how to compete, and athletics is a great teacher of that you can compete in life. And even when, you get knocked down and things aren't going your way, and, that just joy of competing, right, is I think you learn that in athletics, and you really can make the most out of any situation. And at the end of the day, enjoy life.
Yeah, what's the I don't know what the percentages are for basketball players. Not even sure I could think of the football stats, but you play in high school a certain number, most graduate, most finish their high school their senior season, and that's the end of it. They never play football again. Same thing with basketball. A few go on to play at the collegiate level. Very small percentage go on, to Division I and that type of thing. And then the incredibly smaller group goes on to professional. So without, we just all know that those are very small numbers of people. So that means that at some point, in the next few years, that Waldorf Warrior, that basketball player, football player, that they're done. Their playing career is ending. More than, for almost all of them. Some do go on to do other things. We've had, football players go on to, playing the pro, not like the NFL, but so it's like there are European League and stuff like that, but it's like it's going to come to a conclusion. So having that ability to compete, being able to prepare yourself, having the degree in hand, like that's why you're here, kid. You to get that degree. We always say that all the time. It's like we love
all the time.
We love it when you win. We'd love it. We'd love it if you'd win. That'd be. We want all of that stuff. But at the same token, look, we're here to support you. We're here to support your success as you walk across that stage. Andy, he's at every graduation, every commencement, it seems like, and seeing those kids cross the stage, that's really what it's all about. And if they leave and they have a special place in their heart for Waldorf and Forest City in the North Iowa general area community, that's even better. And I think that's what they all do leave with.
Well, you're spot on in that. And what I see a lot too, especially even starts with young kids, and part of the culture and climate in athletics today is they're finding their identity in the sport, right? I'm a basketball player and I'm going to pursue that. I got to get to college, be a college basketball player. And then I got to try to, be a professional basketball. So their entire identity is in being a basketball player. And then you're right. At some point, and it's going to be the majority of your life, you're not going to be a basketball player, right? So if that's your entire identity, that's a recipe for disaster, really.
Yeah.
Enjoy being a basketball player when you can, right? Enjoy competing in this sport. And if you love the game of basketball, well, look at me. I mean, I love to play, but I thought at one point maybe I'll play in the NBA, but then I'm 6 foot and with shoes on, and I can shoot it pretty good back in the day, but there's not a lot of me playing professional basketball. So, but I'm still involved. My whole life's been in basketball, and I've loved most every minute of it. Right. So, if you want to pursue something you really love, you can keep doing that, but just don't put your identity in that. Right.
Right.
And then even as a coach, you struggle sometimes. Is you can have your identity be, I'm a coach. Well, everybody's a coach to somebody, right? So we're all coaches to some degree. And so you got to really pursue what you enjoy doing. And at the end of the day, how am I impacting those around me, right?
Right.
That time that we have here on earth, what kind of impact am I having? And to me, that's where you put your focus on, right? And obviously my faith's a big part of that. And, I found that later in life. I wish I would have when I was younger, right? And but to me, that really keeps things in perspective, right? Like God had a plan for my life as He does for everybody's life, and He's equipped us. Can we get on mission with that and really lean into that? And to me, that kind of takes away the pressure of, well, I gotta achieve this, right? Or if I don't become this, then what am I? I'm in that identity. So I think that's important. I think as coaches, that's part of our job to help kids and athletes and as even when they're younger, like we can have, even as a college basketball coach and college athlete, you can have that impact on youth players as well, because they look up to those guys especially, and we try to explain that, like, man, you can have an impact without even realizing it, by maybe it's just saying hi to the kid from the community that came in to watch the game. Give him a high five. You just made his week, right? Yeah. But now he sees you, and especially not putting the entire world on if he performs at a certain level. Can you compete? And obviously, even if maybe the outcome of the game isn't what you anticipated, but you're still trying to impact that kid who came to watch you play, and that can. Your impact can be huge without even really realizing it sometimes. So speaking to that, I think, is important as a coach, obviously, and that's a big reason why I do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of love for basketball in this neck of the woods. I mean, you came from a school that loves basketball. Forest City loves basketball. Great traditions here. Lake Mills, not Garner so much, but Got to get my dig in on the cards, but like
Always.
but there's a lot of love for so just even like I don't know if Coach Jenkins did this. I assume he did. I don't really know, but like football will do high five Fridays during their football season. So they'll go down to the elementary school and the football team or a portion of them will stand there and the kids get off the bus and they're going into school, elementary school, and they just see all these football players, and to them that's like something cool. And I feel like that's the exact same thing with the Hanson Fieldhouse. On the other end of the Forest City Family YMCA, there's just, such a huge number of kids that go to the Y and they're just playing basketball since they're tykes, around here. And so just having that, like you said, that positive influence, because it is, if you see somebody like, oh, that's, and then they're going to come to your games, which is another thing. We want to get, like we're the Gridiron Club. We want people to pack our stands on a home game, and we want, see the same thing for basketball, right? You want to see the basketball, that Hanson Fieldhouse full for your entire season.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you're right. It really comes down to having a mindset of how do I serve the community as a coach in our program. And we definitely want to do that. And hopefully we have a lot of things, ideas in mind, and some of the things have been done in the past, but we definitely want to serve the community and be an outreach to that and really invite everyone, especially youth in the area, to come to the games. I mean, I remember as a kid, I loved doing that, right? So, if I had a college player that, acknowledged me, showed up at the school and did a high five Fridays or did a basketball camp and showed up, and then you saw him, when you went out to eat or the Subway or whatever and said hi, I mean, that made my week, right? So you're right. I'd want to come to that game and having athletes understand, man, that you are in an awesome position of influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You literally could make someone's day by doing something what you think is insignificant. And now utilize that, right? I mean, you have a huge opportunity to do that. So now be proactive in that. Hey, who can I, bless today or serve today or impact today?
And that speaks so much to character too.
Yeah.
Is that, it takes, you talked about going out there and finding recruits, and as important as it is that they can play basketball, it's more important that they fit with your vision of who your team identifies as.
Yeah.
And, if you have somebody that might be a phenomenal athlete, but a person of low character, sometimes their impact can be the other way. And so any of these athletes that might be listening to this podcast right now, pay really, really close attention to what Coach is talking about, because the reality is that if you're at the YMCA playing noon ball and you're dropping F-bombs and saying really trashy stuff and not representing, and I always try to tell some of these young men when they start speaking that way, and not all the time, I don't have the best language, I'm going to be the first to admit that, but the reality is that, when we're out in public, the way that you speak, would you speak that way when you're sitting at a Sunday meal at your grandmother's? And if the answer isn't like, well, of course we would. Well, then I guess we're going to kind of come up running up against a wall. But the reality is
the worst.
Exactly. Yeah, as soon as she starts drinking the Mogan David. Yeah. But the reality is character is so very, it's vital to with these, especially your collegiate athletes, even your high school varsity athletes, because those little kids look up and they say, oh, that's so-and-so. And if you don't follow your character, you could really, you can leave scars in some of these kids.
Yeah. Well, the Bible talks about that. You don't want to cause somebody through your own actions to sin. And that's something that, you're supposed to be, you're a Christian college, and regardless of where you are with your walk of faith yourself, you need to, at least carry that banner, which is talking about that character, that you mentioned. So 100%.
Yeah.
Remember DQ? Wasn't it DQ? DQ turned around and squared away some of his players because they were mouthing off and they were kids.
Well, there was that was a different time at Waldorf football. I will say that right now.
3-4 years ago.
And there was something wasn't going well on the field, and there were some kids that were very loudly using language that they ought not use, especially when you're yelling it. And Daquan McCobb, or DQ is what they called him, was a man of character. Still is.
Number 99.
Yeah. Big dude.
Yeah.
And he turned around and did the, hey. He said, there are kids sitting in that stand listening to you. Watch your mouth. Now, there isn't anybody, except maybe me, that's going to stand up to somebody like DQ and poke him in the chest and say, oh, really?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
But again, and it's one of those holding each other accountable and things like that. And we're hoping in the football program, we're hearing it from our coaches all the time, that the accountability piece, Coach Chop is really hoping that he doesn't have to keep saying to the guys, knock it off. That's not how we act. That's not how we talk. That's not how we do things and carry ourselves in our team. That's not what we represent. And he wants to make sure that his players are the ones that carry that banner, not just the coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be that way. If they're not bought in, you'll know. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. I've heard too. Yeah, you want to be around men of character, not characters, right? So it's definitely important, and grace sometimes too, right? I mean, we've all, made mistakes, but understanding that, you're right. If you got your leaders, especially, that are believing in that too, and that's how you change the culture, and that's how you get, that's how you get part of something pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they've got to, the kid, when in the recruiting piece of it, the player, athlete has to feel like he belongs in your program, very comfortable with the coach. And in a lot of cases, from what I've seen, like that's the most important thing. Like they have to feel that there's a connection, that a better connection with that coach than anybody else that's recruiting them. But the family, mom and dad, have to feel that as well, as they look at the program and the character of the coaches and team and that type of thing. We had a coach that we interviewed. I don't know if it was Micheletti or who was the one that said, it might have been, we were interviewing some coaches from other GPAC football teams just to kind of get to know their programs.
It was either Coach Franzen or Coach Micheletti.
It was got Franzen or Micheletti.
Yeah, pick one
so far. Yeah, they and one of them said, look, if you recruit the wrong, I think it was Franzen. He says, like, if you think you're recruiting somebody and you want them really bad, and then you turn out that you were wrong about the character of that player, like they would not have been a good fit in your program. If they chose not to come to your program, even if they were the best kid and you still couldn't get them, you only have to deal with that rejection one time a year in football. And in basketball, it'll be twice a year, right? Or whatever, however many, So he's like, but if you make that a decision and they do come to your program and they're the wrong fit for your program, you could not deal with that every day.
Yeah, that was Coach Franzen. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great. So, Coach, let's switch gears a little bit. We've talked a lot about sports and philosophy and basketball. We talked a little bit about your family. What do you do when you get the chance to let your hair down and just kind of be a dude?
Yeah, enjoy hitting the golf course. In Arizona, I really enjoyed hitting the driving range because one, it's way cheaper. And, I can hit way more golf balls. And I don't, I can hit them and not have to find them, which is even better.
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed that. That's kind of a serenity for me. And even when I was coaching, if we, before a game or coaching in high school before games, I'd try to go hit a bucket of golf balls. That was just kind of serenity for me. So kind of took me back to even when I was playing. I enjoyed just going to the gym, right, and going to a shooting workout. That was just like serenity for me. So I enjoy that, and I'm excited about coming back because I think I even joked when I moved to Arizona that people ask, "Oh, the golf courses out there are awesome." I'm like, there's some awesome ones that I probably golfed more when I was in Iowa than I was in Arizona. So I'm excited about that. Coming back to probably be able to get on the golf course a lot more, and hopefully my game will improve a little better too. And I enjoy fishing, and I could spend a lot of time doing that. And it's kind of the running joke when their season's over. Time to go fishing, right? But I probably won't get much time to do it in the winter. And I was just chatting with Coach Jerome, who's just a treasure, and he goes, we're kind of talking about coming back, and I was, I kind of enjoyed the nice little blizzard that we had, and I know everyone else is like, not again. I'm like, hey, it's been a while. This is kind of nice, but he had a great comment. And he goes, that's the great thing about coaching basketball. It's during the winter when there's not much to do. You got basketball. I'm going, that's a good point. So I would even enjoy ice fishing, but I probably could break down some film sitting in an ice house too, and trying to maybe even catch a fish in between. So. I do enjoy fishing as well. So, and then, man, I can't get enough of just watching going to watch basketball games as well. So if it's on TV, we're going to watch it. So my middle son Lincoln, he shares that passion as well. So we even during the season off, we really probably can't watch enough basketball. So those are the things that I
busy weekend coming up for you. Then.
Yeah, best time of the year.
It is one of the most wonderful times of the year is the March Madness.
Is there did you watch any prior to the interview process? Were you researching other GPAC teams?
Yeah, I have had some relationships with the coaches as well from the past and recently, and so I caught a few games as well. So it's a really good league. There's some really good coaches, and I took the job too. That's like, whoa, this is the real deal.
Yeah,
right. This is a good league, and but I'm excited about the challenge of that too. And to me, those relationships, even in the competitive side, right? If you really want to get to a good friend of mine, Randy Chambers, is a character coach actually at Arizona Christian University. He said something a couple of years ago that really has stuck with me. The word compete really means to strive with. So when you're competing, sometimes you're on a team, you're competing for the same spot. And it's like, I hope, they have a bad day today, because then maybe that means I get to play, or I got the starting spot, or I move up the depth chart. But if you really understand what competing means, is we're striving with each other, right, to help each other really become our best. And then it changes a little bit. Like, you want to almost celebrate someone else's success, because if they're doing really well, they're probably helping you do really well. And I even view that, and it's a total different mindset when you're going in to compete in an athletic contest in a basketball game. Is, hey, it's like, man, I hope they have a bad night tonight so we can come out. No, bring your best. Let's go compete, right? And that's striving with. So that's with coaches, that's with other teams and athletes. So even watching those, I'm like, man, that's going to be a tough challenge, but it's going to be a lot of fun to be on the court and compete against those guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. You have you got a favorite basketball movie or movies?
Oh, man. I mean, how do you, even, I guess it's really hard to ever beat Hoosiers.
Yeah, right?
Every one of us has been Jimmy Chitwood at some point, right?
I feel like I've been Shooter. But yeah. I love that movie. And but there are some great basketball movies, and I don't know, was Coach Carter? They're all
That's
good.
a good one.
Yeah.
Glory Road, I think, was a good one. Yeah.
You got to go back to Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Always got to go back to Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Even the soundtrack, when the soundtrack starts ringing, that's small.
Is there another movie that has a great synthesizer soundtrack that gets you fired? Maybe The Natural. They came out about the same time. Right. I feel like that's also a synthesizer.
I think I had the cassette tape of Hoosiers soundtrack, and I don't think there was a single song on it, right, other than that had words in it. But I would play that.
Yeah.
When I was shooting.
Well, get you fired up.
Oh, yeah.
You just know what's happening. I will say about that Hoosiers. That was so the home gym for who was the Hoosiers? It started with Hickory.
Yep.
Hickory's home gym was that's a real gym at a really small school that's now closed and been closed for a long time, for well over 20, 30 years. In Mecca, Indiana. And when I was stationed in Indiana for Noble Eagle 2 after 9/11, we had a church family that adopted us from the local church, a group of us that went to church, and then they would invite us to a Thanksgiving. And it was at that gym because their family was so big, they'd fly in from all over. And it was just the coolest thing. So when I watched that, at the end, it was my favorite part. There's a lot of great parts in Hoosiers, but at the very end, when it's just like slow pan up to the championship photograph, and it's the echo of the coach's words, and you're scanning the faces, like that's in that gym. And I was like, I've been there. I know that. We know that gym. It's really small.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That sounds like a team building opportunity to head to that gym. That'd be fun.
Take the road to Mecca.
That's right.
I'd say it's about 8 hours away. So I think your furthest trip you're gonna have to take is Hastings, right? We're going to go to Hastings. They're the 6.5 hours away. Talking about Nebraska, you got a couple, 2-3 teams over there in Nebraska. Hastings is one, Concordia, and then why do I always forget there's a.
Well, you got Doane.
Thank you. That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there nobody else though? That's it. In Nebraska.
Was it up in? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'd have to look.
There's some Nebraska teams. We got South Dakota now, and and then a whole bunch of Western Iowa. Yeah. So that's good. It is a good league, like you said.
We might have to play Hoosiers on the first road trip at least.
Do you think that there's kids that are on your team that haven't seen that movie?
I think we're old enough. Yes.
Well, Troy and I will have players in here, and we'll be interviewing them, and we'll have some iconic movie that we'll make reference to, and you've not seen that?
Yeah,
no idea what you're talking about.
We went 2 years ago. They came here this last year. Never see him. We'll never see him again. University of St. Francis. And 2 years ago, we went out there, and I mean, we a good team. We got beat up pretty good, and we went up there, and that's in Joliet, Illinois. So then Andy and I were like, we got sunglasses, half a pack of cigarettes, and then we're going to Joliet, and it's like, and they're like,
huh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like Blues Brothers, Dan Aykroyd.
Seen it? Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. So that happened.
I realized my references to kids was about 15 years ago. It was too long. Too old.
Yeah.
Well, I still do them. I still laugh at them.
Yeah.
Well, and we even told Coach Chapa, like, we'll talk about a movie, and
he may not know,
and he'll be like, I don't know that. And so we'd send him off, because last summer we did a summer series where we literally broke, since we hadn't been in the GPAC yet, we broke down each one of the communities and universities and football programs. And for whatever reason, we'd send him off with, like, you need to go watch this movie. And he did.
Yeah. Blazing Saddles. I mean, just a variety of movies that he'd never seen. But maybe that's a good thing, because now at this point, you can they've never seen it. You could do all of the stuff from Hoosiers and be like,
That's right.
Climb up on there. Let's drop a trait measure down here. What's the measurement there? And it's like, that was great. And it's like, yeah, totally original. I thought of that myself.
That's right.
It certainly isn't from a movie from 40 years ago.
Right. Well, that's my daughter and son-in-law live down in Missouri, and they a few weeks ago they sent us a text saying, hey, we're trying to watch a bunch of terrible 80s movies, which they must all be terrible, and so start sending us titles.
Sorry, can't think of any.
Well, right away I'm like, Howard the Duck.
Okay, you're right. There's some bad ones. Yeah,
terrible. Right. Yeah. So anyway,
well, that's good though. And so you said, so your kids enjoy basketball too, and you're coming from a big school district area, so and that's a change too. Back here, you can do anything. You can be part of everything. So that's going to be something different too, I suppose, for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're excited about that. And they've been my two oldest have been pretty much back there too. It's pretty competitive. So you really, unfortunately, it's unfortunate too that you even the sports during the school season overlap quite a bit. You would think with the weather, and you wouldn't have to, but it does. And lots of kids pick one sport way too early.
Yeah, way too early. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think it's fine if you get into your high school years and you're like, okay, I know I tried my hand and I've invested in different sports. This is where I feel this is what I love to do the most.
So it had to feel now that you're kind of back home, even though probably the majority of your life was spent in Arizona. But how's that gone with being closer now? Obviously, Andrea kind of moving away from family, but I'm sure she still has a lot of contacts around here that I'm sure you still have friends from back in the day, plus all your family. How's that been received by you and your kids and your wife?
I think I might have mentioned this even at the press conference too, but one of the things that really, really kind of blew me away was, obviously when, people hear the news and they send you hey, congratulations. And you get a lot of those text messages and phone calls, but just how excited so many people were. It just really touched my heart, right? Where they are generally really excited for me. Like, it doesn't really impact, their life, whether, some of my family, obviously, and friends that we will see them more, but they were just super excited about what's the opportunity and coming back and just expressing that. And that's really touched me. And it's really kind of exciting for me too, as well. And so that's been awesome. And two of my kids, as we're going through this process, and I had them involved, and really they had a vote, right? Like I think I shared that too. If they said, "Dad, you're crazy. There's no way I want to move." I mean, it would have been tough, right?
Yeah.
I hope we'd been obedient to if we really felt called to do it, right? But in explaining that, right, and that's a good lesson in itself. But that was another confirmation. They were excited about it, and
Wow.
you have a sophomore in high school who's all they in a 14-year-old, all they've ever known is living here. And we've come back though, so they've been back, and they had the fun part of coming back too. You come in the summer and you hang out, and you got no responsibilities, and it's vacation, and but they were really excited about it too. So that's been exciting as well.
That's so good to hear.
He does have family. So Christy Osheim is his aunt.
Oh yeah,
So she, Christy was forever the
3K3.
Over at what was her title in the? She's like AD's office. I mean,
the Empress.
Empress, just the title. That was the title. Yeah,
Yeah, she did. She was. Was office manager.
I don't know,
Something like that. Yeah, kind of in charge of everything.
I mean, she was in the glass house. Like she had the glass house office.
Yes.
She could
Where
see
Jen is at
everybody.
now?
Where Jen is at now. Yeah. So yeah, that's so there's those connections as well. So, but hey, there are, before we wrap up here with Coach Michael Wirth, we do have a couple of announcements for our Gridiron Club listeners. But you probably want to know when our spring ball game is, and that is going to be, when is that going to be?
April 12th.
Thank God you remember, because I had to look at my calendar. On the April 12th is the spring ball game. It'll be at 1 o'clock as the coaches plan at this point. Hopefully everything should be nice by then. We are going to, by the way, plant our trees. Trees are coming in for the Rise of the Ashes campaign as we reach the conclusion of that. Thanks to everybody for making that successful. Over $20,000 we raised to get some new trees. We're going to plant 40 of them. They're going to be arriving on a truck on Tuesday, and they'll be offloaded there at the I'll try to get them to go take them off on each end of the football field, make our transportation a little better, and then we'll plant those on the this coming not tomorrow for the Saturday, but the following week, whenever the day.
Let the ground gets
a little bit.
Yeah, let the ground get hardened up a little bit.
The 29th.
29th of March.
29th of March is we're going to plant that. And then so the spring ball game, like you said, is on the 12th of April. They just started. Tuesday of this week was their first day practice.
They sure did.
And then they had a blizzard, and I don't know what they did. Well, I know Jack was home, so must not have done anything.
No, it was canceled.
Then they've got their Palms. So Palm Sunday would then be the 13th. So which is right after the spring ball game, and that will be that afternoon and we'll get the hours locked in here, but from 1 to say 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 4-ish in that time, you can rent the Waldorf football team to come clean up your yard, clean out your garage. It's their annual spring cleanup. It's a fundraiser and a community service project for the football team. Lots of guys they'll send out in groups of 6, 8, whatever it happens to be, depending on how big the job is, and they'll try to hit as many places as they can. They're looking for, I suppose, about 30 jobs total is kind of what they're looking for. That'd be nice to have. So if you got to think of something to do in preparation for the following weekend, which of course is Easter weekend, getting ready for the family, making the yard look nice, rake things up, whatever it happens to be, all you got to do is contact tyler.chapa@waldorf.edu.
That's right. Just send Coach an email. If you can't remember tyler.chapa@waldorf.edu, you can just go and search for Waldorf football on your interweb machine and head coach.
Yeah, or you can email even at the Gridiron Club. Guarantee we'll get that information.
We can get it to him. Yeah. So if you need work done, by golly, I think my mother's already decided that she's going to hire the guys.
That's perfect.
That's right.
Put them to work. They love to do it. They do a good job, and it's free will donation, so it's a great way to get things done, raise a little bit of money, and
Absolutely.
have a heart for service for our footballers before they, after that they got finals, and boy, shortly after that they gone.
Commencement and hit the road.
Yep. So, that's what's happening. Want to make everybody aware of that, and so we'll put a link. I might even put Tyler's email in the show notes. So people want to click on it, send him an email.
Go crazy. All right.
Keep it kind.
Well, Coach Michael Wirth, thank you so much for joining us just for a few minutes out of your busy day as you're drinking from a fire hose there at your new post at Waldorf University. We're looking forward to a lot of great things, coming out of our basketball team.
Well, hey, thank you guys. I mean, this is, obviously the first podcast I've ever been on, but I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. This is impressive. You both are extremely talented. I've enjoyed it.
He doesn't know.
You should have heard our first season.
Hey,
they're out there.
Here's what I love about it too, right? Frosty Westerling, the famous football coach, and he had a saying: "Said make it the big time wherever you're at." Right, and right here, and maybe it's a smaller town, Iowa, but you guys are making the big time with this, and it's really cool, and that takes a willingness to think outside the box sometimes, and then it's a willingness of we're just going to find a way to make it happen, and you guys are doing it, and man, just to be on here has just been a treat for me, and I'm gonna leave today. I knew coming in it'd be top class, first class all the way. And I leave, it is, and it's been a treat, and thank you guys for doing it. And it's just been an honor for me to be here today.
Well, awesome. Listen, fans, we've got a lot of folks that are listening to this that are local and even in the area. So clearly there's a lot of Waldorf sports that are happening after the football season is over, and even before the football season is over, basketball has started. So great opportunity to head over to the Hanson Fieldhouse and support the Warriors, show new head coach Michael Wirth what we're all about here. He kind of knows, but it's fun to show up and show his team some love. And of course, our Waldorf Warrior football players, they love to come sit on the left side there as you look across I guess be the right side as you're looking across, They like to fill up that area. And hopefully they're not too rowdy.
Yeah, let's hope. Hopefully they're men of character.
Men of character.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, thanks so much, Coach, for taking some time. Come and visit with us so that our listeners and our community can get to know you better. Hey, when you see Coach Wirth out there, say hi. Welcome him back home, because that's what we're all about, is being a member of this community. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast. For Troy Thompson, this is Andy Buffington, and forever and always, go Warriors. You can join the Waldorf Gridiron Club and be part of the best small college football experience in America.
Just visit our website and pick your membership level. Find us and everything Waldorf Gridiron Club related, including professional photos, at waldorfgridironclub.org.
You can also click on the Support the Show link in the show notes to donate.
And you can even use the United States Postal Service by sending your check to the Waldorf Gridiron Club, P.O. Box 125, Forest City, Iowa, 50436.
It's tax exempt, hassle-free, and has a level for every budget.
That's right. Anyone can join, even our rivals.
Show your colors. Join the Gridiron Club today.
Get it?
Got it. Fantastic.
The Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast is hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson. Produced by Sunnyside Farm Studios in beautiful rural Forest City, Iowa. Platformed by Buzzsprout and music by Soundstrike. The Waldorf Gridiron Club is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the student athletes of the Waldorf University football program. Our mission is to assist the program in maintaining the best small college football experience in America.